Hey everybody, thank you again for joining in. I'm Johann Francis, CSCS. CoachJohannCSCS.com is where you can find me and my content. But I want to thank you guys for joining this, my second event, Motivate Your Body. Motivate Your Body is an 18-year program that I implemented when I was training at a commercial gym to get you active. Go to CoachJohannCSCS.com and you can find the first event where we talked about all the motivational issues that might face you guys in changing your eating for any activity, but this time we're going to focus on cardio. Cardio is a general term, but underneath that umbrella, there's a lot of concerns that you guys have about your eating. We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to see how we can change your eating so you can maximize your cardio gains. Okay, you guys, and I look forward to doing that with you. So again, this is Motivate Your Body Part 2. Welcome. Okay. Again, this is me. I'm Coach Johann CSCS. 18 years as a professional, working with AFAA, NSCA, a host of other people. I did a talk as a keynote speaker at the EVO Expo in 2019 when going out was, when 2020 didn't just rain down on us, right? With all of its changes. My success rate really high. I say all this to let you guys know, right? And of course, here's my gym. These are my other courses. I want you guys to know that I am very qualified, not only to motivate you. I think motivator and speakers and all that, they have you don't really have a qualification to be a motivational speaker. You can just kind of do that with time and experience, but incorporating the nutrition and the habit change is my specialty. Okay, and that's where I differ. That's kind of why I am qualified to help you out. You don't really have to I'm not bragging, so you can just go to Yelp, you can go to Udemy, you can go to my website, you can find that I've trained thousands of online people and hundreds in person over 18 years. Here's some of the reviews, right? You can go and find these. You can see what people say about the way I work with them with their nutrition, right? The methodology works. It's worked for a very long time. And this is my chance to share it with you guys. And it's a little different because you guys aren't just one person, you're a big group. But expect to get individual nuance, right? Let me go back here. You guys can expect to get individual attention and individual kind of detailing your goals, even though I'm addressing a lot of you at once. So I want you to keep in mind, especially if you know somebody, because we all do, that has cardio in mind, cardio goals in mind. You probably have yourself. I know for me, I wasn't always a cardio-centric athlete in person, but I've over time in my life had bouts where I have been more cardio focused. And you guys know, if you're a strength coach, right, that at the beginning of any long-term program, which all of our program is long-term, the first part is all about increasing the rep count. You want to keep the rep count high, you want the volume to be high, but the intensity to be low. Encourages neural adaptations, right? Encourages those muscle fibers. It is a kind of lower intensity mode for trainees to get into, for you guys to get into, for even if you are a coach to get into. And so that's why we do that. That's why cardio is so important. That's why I want to get you guys back in the game when it comes to your cardio. So let's get right into it with lesson 1. So guys, over time, sometimes I might talk really fast, and sometimes there'll just be slides with a lot of words up there for you to read. I don't expect you to read it word for word right now, okay? When we're done presenting, we're going to leave this. You can always go down below and write in a question right now. But go to CoachJohannCSCS.com. You can find this. It'll be under Event 2. Right? And you can stop the video at any time if you need to and jump back in live. It's no problem. But here is what we're going to do. Start with the lesson 1, then we're going to lesson 2, which is empathy. We're going to let go of the stuff from our past, right? We're going to see how that relates to your eating and how that facilitates changes in your cardio. Distance is very apt when we're talking about cardio a lot of the time, right? Endurance and resistance, we're going to see what kind of barriers I've often seen in others, and maybe that's with a lot of you guys. We're going to knock a lot of them down. And I want you to stay engaged too. This is about building a team. Lastly, I want you to stay engaged with the fact that even if the exact barrier that you might have doesn't come up, I want you to think about which ones do, okay, with me when we get into it. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to interview. This, I believe this is geared towards folks like you because you have a passing interest in fitness. You have a passing interest in nutrition. You guys, right, want better. That's why we're here in the fitness industry, because you guys want better. If you believe that you can do better and be better, that's called person-centered approaches. Person-centered approaches are great for athletic folks and athletic adjacent. So maybe your trainees aren't athletes, maybe you guys aren't athletes, but you're exercising, you're working out, and you're staying active, right? That's where you live. And so you believe you can be better and healthier by doing actions and taking action. That's why that's why we're actively going to find things to motivate you to do more of your cardio. We're going to look for specific foods, modes of working out, and break it down so that you can be like, oh, that applies to me, right? Let me see if what we can do to change that and add this, that, and that into the eating, okay? Specific things are going to help us to be stronger. So we're building a new normal. Okay, so imagine it. Maybe you want cardio because you need to drop some body fat, right? You want more energy in your life, whatever it might be. It increases your recovery, right? Maybe you want to shift your macro ratio. All of those reasons are why we're doing cardio. So that's why you guys are here and why we're going to knock down some of those barriers. Better yet, roll with some of them, okay? So cardio, of course, is like this broad term as we discussed. It's great for body fat percentage dropping, meditation, right? Your recovery gets boosted exponentially when you get really good at your quote-unquote cardio, your cardiovascular gains, okay? Cardio, of course, is, about 50-60% of the max intensity that you can reach in a given time. And usually cardio is, in my case, I don't consider it until you're working for at least 30 minutes. And that's the global health recommendation. Because it's common knowledge, guys. You didn't know this, right? It's common knowledge that cardio burns fat. Everybody knows that, right? Cardio burns fat. Well, not really. Okay? Not really. As I just kind of alluded to, there's different types of cardio. So that common knowledge that I was just discussing, it's a little bit misleading. Okay? Inside the gym, with your coach, even if you read it in Muscle and Fitness, Women's Running, whatever your magazine of choice is, assuming we still read magazines, right? We're going to find two types of fat-burning cardio, predominantly touted about inside the spheres of fitness. It's going to be LISS and it's going to be HIIT. All right, now isn't that convenient? HIIT or LISS. I didn't make up the names, okay? And I don't know who coined the names, because frankly the names aren't really important. What's important is they both describe intensities. Let's start with LISS, okay? Over here. This is cardio which is well beyond the 25-minute mark if you're in adequate to not very much in shape, this is like a 35-minute mark to you're really doing cardio, right? 40 minutes, right? If you're, you know, you have an older aunt, uncle, or grandparents, right? They're doing cardio. It takes them a while, so to get into that zone of cardio, but it can last hours. You burn a lot of fat with this list. Now, I didn't write it out here because I don't believe in this term, but it is easy to remember that it just stands for this. It stands for low intense, steady state training. And again, the acronym for HIIT, high intense interval training, is kind of the opposite. It's bursts. It's bursts of hard work and intensity followed by medium or resting work. So it's hard, rest. Hard, rest at that exact ratio, okay? Little rest, a lot of hard work. That burns a lot of calories because the delta from working to not working is where most of your muscles are active, right? And here we just get a little representation of the crossover effect. So look at this. You guys right now, you're watching this. I don't think, you know, most of us don't have access to treadmills or Stairmasters anymore, or ellipticals or whatever, the rowers. And so you're like here, 0%, right? 0% intensity. Guess what? You're burning fat. You're burning fat right now. You're a fat burning dynamo. You're a power plant, nuclear power plant of fat burn. Well, as the low intensity starts to pick up, we burn more and more carbohydrates, but predominantly at fat. Okay? At some point, right around here, we talked about that 60%, your body will switch over. And the longer we continue, okay, it will actually go back to fat. But just know for now, as our heart rate starts to pick up, the intensity starts to pick up, let's keep it with intensity, past 60% of whatever you can do for one time, that starts to become where your body starts burning carbohydrates, okay? And it will do this temporarily, a majority for carbohydrates burn, okay? Even if you don't, now lists, you're not even gonna get this far, but for every other type of exercise, you are gonna get this far. We will cover why lists is not beneficial for you. That low intense, like I'm gonna walk around the block 400 times, or I'm gonna be on the Stairmaster for 2.5 hours. Get rid of, that's not for you guys. So when we build a cardio regimen, we might go through a lot of thought and preparation, okay? It's gonna go into it. So we want to engage the process where we contemplate and prepare for action, okay? And all that means is that change is a process. And when we start preparing for action, that's when we're gonna do special certain moves. What are we gonna do? We're gonna buy, clip-in shoes for the bike. You're gonna buy a new pair of leggings, right? You're gonna research, I need, pink Himalayan salt for recovery. I'm gonna go out and try some new type of exercises that I saw on YouTube, right? I went to see my favorite fitness mind on YouTube, and I looked him or her up, and hey, they suggested I try these exercises. Before I jump into a regimen, you guys are going to probably try some stuff. And what kind of regimen are you going to jump into? Well, you're going to do probably some of this. Is this you? What are you guys doing? This is taken right off of harvardhealth.edu. It's a pretty popular webpage that lists a lot of this stuff. So take a look. What are we doing? I know for me, I'm into the combat sports arena, but I've been biking a lot lately, not stationary, but maybe you guys are doing the rowing. Rowing's picking up. There's a lot of rowing studios out there nowadays, right? Maybe you have some older relatives, you guys are out here doing a 17 minute per mile walk, and that's average, right? On average, we walk about 17 minutes for every mile. Or is it dancing? That's fun. That's a fun way to get it in, to get your cardio in, isn't it? Well, you're going to burn about, okay, in a half hour, so multiply by 2 in an hour. In a half hour, you're going to burn 210 to 310 calories, right? And this range is based on your weight. If you're above 190, you're probably going to burn even more than this. Okay, above 190, like if you're 230, then you're going to burn 400 calories. Again, in a half hour, if you're doing those exercises. Something more rigorous, like jumping rope, 10-minute miles, right? Boxing, kickboxing. We're into that. Guess what? We're burning a little bit more. We're burning 100 calories more per half hour, or 200 more per hour. So look at that. If you're 200 pounds, you're burning about 1,000 calories an hour, jumping rope. And that's a long time for most of us to jump rope. But these are the changes you guys are going to notice when you start working in cardio. These are the nutritional changes you're going to meet up with. You're going to have to start thinking about adding 500 calories, to your day because of your workout. Eating more simple sugars, recovering with complex carbohydrates, right? You're going to have to increase your carb intake. All of those things are going to have to happen. You're going to look at a 50-ish ratio of carbohydrates. All of these changes are nutritional changes. It's going to require you probably to go to the supermarket. All of these things are going to require you to plan out your meals a little bit better, to change your ratios so you can get more energy before and after you do any of those activities that we talked about, even if it's that 17 minute per mile slog or walk around the block. You're gonna have to start thinking about, how am I gonna feel better about these new adaptations that are happening in my life? And I want you guys to feel a million times better. A lot of the times, as we'll get to, taking on a new program inhibits us for a lot of reasons. The fear of the unknown becomes the thing that stops us from progressing. I've always believed, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are too if you're coaches, that if you prepare for those moments by energizing yourself and having a positive outlook and attitude, you can work your way into a better habit over time. It's all about your attitude. And the first thing you can do to help your attitude is nourish. Have a salubrious lifestyle. Okay? Now that we understand what kind of cardio activity you guys are into, what you guys are doing these days, let's let go of the stuff in our past that prevented us from getting exceptionally great at it, okay? And this is lesson 2. Cardio is about consistency and setting up a new norm. Okay? Especially letting go of the past. Fuel your workouts smartly. So if you think about a time in your life where your cardio was on point and you could do no wrong and it was coming easily and every gain you had just added to the last one, right? You forget, maybe if you think back on it, all the work that it took to get there. And then maybe you show up today, right? And you're hanging out with me right now and you want to get back there. What you're probably forgetting or not thinking about is all the effort it took to get there in the first place. So it's easy to see the fall off. And it's harder to see the build up. But we're going to start with the build up, guys. Okay? We're going to start building you back up because I want you to know I want you to know that it is more than likely what I see is it wasn't necessarily your fault for giving up. Maybe, you got a little bit older over time, right? And it, of course, is a gradual thing, but maybe that caused an injury. Maybe recovery was a little bit slower than it ever was before. Maybe you got sick, right? Especially this year, it's so easy for us to catch something or come down with something. You know what I mean? All of these can cause declines. There's been a few studies that have shown that the decline is actually a reason that cardio dips. And the dip in cardio actually makes it harder for us to have a great independent life later on, right? That's not ideal. It's not fun. When you think of your older relatives, you hope that they're living autonomous lives. I think more than anything, you hope that they're independent, that they're self-efficacious. I think that's the number one thing that when you get older you're afraid of losing is your freedom within your own body, right? And it's been shown that a dip in cardiovascular capacity assists in that decline, right? I want you guys to know that being motivated and finding reasons to stay motivated, according to a 2012 study, finding reasons to stay motivated helps bring you into a program more so than if you're just naturally motivated, which I thought was very surprising. So like someone like me that's very into being not just healthy, but like active and fit and wants to push themselves, right? You all know those folks, maybe I'm one of them to you, where it's like, oh, you're just always in the gym or whatever, right? And it's like, it's natural. Well, it's interesting. Maybe if you don't love barbells and dumbbells and kettlebells, you're like worried that you'll hate being in shape. Well, apparently, according to the study, you can kind of hate all that stuff, but not attach your outcomes to the actual fitness moves or exercises, more along the lines of what you get, the benefits of it. If you find those benefits, you're more likely to stick early with a program. It's pretty huge. Say, let's kick these old habits out the door. Let's get them out of here. Okay? So energize your life by fueling your new habits. Okay? We're going to add more fruit. We're going to add in some snacks in our day to do that, because our old habits, when regards to our cardio, might leave us kind of carbohydrate phobic. Might have us skipping breakfast. I know a lot of us like to skip breakfast because we're doing an intermittent fast or something like that. Remember that that's not ideal when we're trying to change the habits for the long term and the betterment of our lives, right? Now that I say that, never heard of anyone that's like deep into their 50s and intermittent fasting still, okay? Because fasted cardio, it's been shown, right, in this specific study, and again, all of these references are on the website, coachjohannscscs.com/event2. But hey, it didn't matter if you were doing fed or fasted cardio. Surprisingly, what mattered was, hey, they both did the same in this study. As long as they were below their caloric intake, they all were able to lose weight. Okay? So one thing that I want to roll up into all of this stuff is, hey, you guys are unsure of how you're going to adopt the change and you don't know what it's going to take. I'll tell you right now. What it's going to take is we got to think about sugars, simple sugars being a big part of it. So you guys are going to start thinking about how you're going to get fruits, especially fruits, in earlier in the morning, earlier in the day, or prior to your exercise, your workout, your cardio. Okay? So it's always one of the easiest things to do is just go grab yourself a couple pieces of fruit, 100 calories, because it's about 100 calories. They're really easy to carry around, really easy to eat, give you a lot of energy, comparative energy, fast relatively, right? So it's always the go-to option when you're talking about incorporating more simple sugars into your daily life. That's always going to be my number one go-to. I want you guys to think about that. Incorporating the fruits earlier in the day. Okay? So it's going to be 5% of your total caloric intake, 5 to 10%. So if you take in 3,000 calories, 5 to 8% would be 150-ish calories before your activity. So here's your activity later in the day. Boom, right before it, okay? You're gonna fuel up. So this is the first thing we're gonna do. And guys, this is the first change you're gonna make when we start talking about a lifestyle of adding in more cardio, okay? Maybe this is easy for you, maybe it's not, I'm not sure. But my guess is, a lot of us these days are so carb phobic that this will be kind of a challenge. A lot of us are even afraid of like eating a full banana. But definitely know that if we're doing a lot of cardio, which we talked about is 60 to 70% of our intensity, and we talked about all of those activities, this is probably the best time you want to do it. Now, if this is in the morning, that would be your first snack of the day. Of course, I have meal plans galore on the website. So, we want to also develop a little distance. And since we're talking cardio, the idea of distance comes in a distant first. Eating changes takes time, okay? So I want you to experiment, start slowly, and build on successes. So you can try things out. You can mess up. You're allowed to be human. You're allowed to fail. You're allowed to do things that don't work if you have an idea that you want to get better in the future, okay? And that's part of learning how to eat when you start your cardio program. Part of it is, hey, saying, oh, I don't really like eating food in the morning because I go and do my cardio at 10:30 in the morning, right? So I'm knowing, hey, I'm going to just go ahead and get juices in. Or maybe it's a smoothie option, right? Things like that. Knowing that this type of cereal is a little too sweet, or adding in my cereal and my milk is a little bit too much, let me find a different option. That is going to be an experiment that you do try. And you're going to go ahead and try that. It's never a good idea to not experiment. So first we have to know how many calories we need, okay? Guys, we talked about it last month. Setting high goals. They're all kind of based around timing. And with me, we set SMART goals. And in food, in nutrition and fitness, these goals look a little different than your corporate SMART goals, don't they? Right? They're stretch worthy, measurable, force you to accept, are realistic and timely. You want to make sure that your first goal makes you work hard. This is one goal. And our goal is to start acquiescing to a lifestyle of cardio. What are the things we're going to do? We're going to add in 2 types of fruit. Not just 1, but 2 or 3. Because it's not that hard to do. But it's kind of hard if you guys don't eat fruit. If we're carb phobic. Right? If we don't know that there's that many type of fruit out there. Some of us are so like, maybe anti-fruit or not really into it that you guys didn't even know that you can go to, one of the organic markets and find 4 different types of pear, Okay? Assign numerical value, so we already one is done for you. So this is already done for you. You want to embrace present actions. Actions are things you do, not plan for, but actually put into motion. An idea that elicits a physical response as an action, right? You want to make sure that hey, the energy you found feels great. You accept that. Being realistic, envision yourself active in the near future. Eating the 400 calorie recovery meal that's mostly complex carbohydrates every time you do your cardio. Every time. Not sometimes, every time. If it's not rice, it's orzo, right? If it's not just meat and rice, it's a lot of legumes and veggies, right? If it's not chicken and steak, you know, it's lentils. Okay? And have a finish date in mind. Do that for 4 weeks, then revisit it. Try it again later, okay? So you're gonna go to the website, as soon as you get to coachjohannscscs.com, the first thing you're gonna see is base calories. You're gonna click calculate, then you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna go back to the other slide, or you can just find the handouts that I will list here below, but it's also at coachjohannscscs.com/event2. You're gonna go there, you're gonna download the handouts that show a lot of these activities, and you're gonna take your base number, right? And you're gonna add in the activity. This is your A base, okay? That's your A base. Once you have your A base, you can adjust. I need to eat that A base if I'm maintaining my weight, okay? If you maintain your A base, your weight will not change. That's the first thing you do. Okay, next, goals for cardio gains. We're gonna shift your ratios. All right, so macro ratios. I work with protein first because protein is, you're never going to eliminate, you're never going down to like 10% and you're never going up to 50%. I know some people go up to 50% protein. I've never seen a reason to do it in front of me. I've had a lot of bodybuilder friends. They're the only people who've ever actually had a need to do it. I can go ahead, let me go ahead and make the soliloquy screen happen. Is I can go ahead and look at a meal plan for a lot of my bodybuilder friends, and they probably need to eat 50% from protein for a lot of reasons, for the type of workouts they're doing, for the volume, right, of weightlifting that they're doing. They have to eat hundreds of grams of protein per day, okay? But most of the time for you guys, no. Totally unnecessary. A waste of money, a waste of time, and a good way to completely limit your food variety. So 50% protein is just a bad recommendation. So I'll adjust protein first, and then the other ratios next, which in this case is carbs and fats. I don't usually even ever mess with them. Yes, paleo diets, but guess what? Not good for you in the long run. So since alcohol is a macro, we're going to include it. We want to I put here 0.5% just to represent that it does matter for something and it's not negligible. Okay, and this is a practice I want to do more of myself, is put this alcohol in here when we're calculating macros. Because oftentimes when we look at our ratios, or I'll sit down with some of you guys and your ratios were perfect, and it's like, hey, how did we mess up our numbers and our ratio? Well, in another paragraph, maybe 10 minutes later, I'll be like, well, how many beers did you have this past week? Or have you been drinking more lately? That'll come up, and it's like, oh yeah, okay? So just keep that in mind. So look, we need carbohydrates if we're doing a higher protein, then we could take some of our carbohydrates down to the upper 40s. And the opposite is true if we're doing a low protein, okay? There are reasons to go up to 75% carbohydrates, but that's competition level, okay? And since a lot of you guys aren't here for competition, we're just here to get active, to get after it, and to get better. We're not gonna use 75%. The last thing is you're gonna break out the nicest, fanciest piece of tech you have that has your heart rate all over it, and you're gonna look at that thing and you're gonna figure out what your heart rate needs to be for 30 minutes of work at 60% of your heart rate minimum, okay? And moving right along, you guys, we're at lesson 4, okay? And yeah, we're gonna talk about the resistances that might come up when you talk about cardio. So think about it. What are some of the things that blocked you in the past that you're getting over that you think might happen again? Rolling with resistance is about taking an honest look in the mirror about the things that might trip you up when you change your eating. Nothing more, nothing less. It's an honest look. Because we eat like our lifestyle. Okay? When we have incorporated our cardio into our lifestyle, we're looking to fuel. And we're looking to fuel our work, not just fat burn. Okay? So do your best. Okay? So some of the barriers to carbohydrate consumption that people would bring up, okay, that I've heard myself, that are prevalent out there, is that carbs are like an addictive macro, that excess carbohydrate consumption declines neuroplasticity, leads to depression and anxiety and mood disorder, temporary mood disorders. Of course, this is with constant like Jack LaLanne, William Duffy levels of eating sugar. I mean, these are like, you know, this is almost like a anachronistic view of the way sugar is more drug than it is food that took hold in the 50s and 60s, right? However, there's still a very prevalent belief, you know, that consumption of sugar is correlated with cognitive, you know, impairment, which there are studies that look at reviews of other papers that have found this. It is blamed for the obesity epidemic of the last 50 years, and hunger might be promoted exclusively for increasing carbohydrate load because of the way it influences insulin, which would then peak and reset, only to have ghrelin respond quickly thereafter, sooner than you might like. But there are great reasons to eat carbohydrate consumption. Number one, it's mostly everything you eat, if you think about it. If you think about everything you've ever eaten, right, in the past, most of it's carbohydrates. It facilitates your appetite, which is a great thing in fitness. You need your appetite. You need constituents. It optimizes your feeding pattern and makes you aware. It gives your daily eating pattern structure and a matrix with which you guys can stay fueled and energized, and it increases food and fiber consumption and awareness. Okay? So, if we know that it's okay to eat carbohydrates, which it is, and you're not carbohydrate phobic, some of us who are getting into our cardio might think it's a good idea to go at it with a fasted mindset. So let's break this down to two types of cardio. Okay? Now, if you're on an intermittent fast, CoachJohannCSCS.com. You want to go to courses. You want to scroll down and find my intermittent fasting breakdown in the handout section. And here's where I break down the 16-8 fast. And you're gonna want to still eat even though you're fasting when you're done fasting. And this is how to do it the best. The first thing you're probably gonna take in is carbohydrates, by the way, right? Even when you're fasting, if you're drinking, you know, a shot of wheatgrass, that is fiber, that is a carbohydrate. Okay? So know that, hey, if you're doing fasted cardio and you're fasting, if you're not doing it this way, it's probably just all bad, right? It has been proven to burn more fat, but we did talk about lists. Now, lists will keep you at a sub-max level for a long period of time, and in that sub-max level, your heart rate never goes up to a certain extent. It stays in line with your VO max, which is just your oxygen consumption rate, and if that never goes up, your body doesn't look for a need to burn more calories for fat. If that happens, you can just kind of burn the same amounts of fat over and over, and that would work out for you. However, we look to burn calories when we're looking for weight loss, and so LIST doesn't assist in that because our heart rate is never allowed to progress us into more energy systems. Our VO2 never progresses us into later energy systems where we're burning visceral fat for energy later on. When we do a fed cardio kind of eating pattern, we burn more calories as we perform at 60%, right? Or 70%. We're allowed to go into other energy systems, which repay the oxygen debt, and this is a little bit of muscle physiology or muscle sports nutrition. Just know that later on in a workout, later on in a cardio day, you're burning fat again, not just at the beginning. So guys, this is what it looks like. At the beginning, right now, it's all fat. But let's say we start working out. Well, here's what happens. When we stick with lists, you're going to follow my pointer, we stay here. And we never even get to the oxygen debt. But we need to burn more calories. You need to keep moving. Well, as we keep doing that, our body decides we need more oxygen to continue the movement. So we have a debt of oxygen right around here, and that's where the lactate threshold is. Over time, our body starts to kind of speed up our oxygen intake. Our breathing becomes deeper, right? Our capacity for intaking oxygen becomes better, and we need it more. After that, steady state. That's where we're constantly kind of idling and burning energy while we're moving, which typically tends to be a mobilized fat burn system, so we're burning visceral body fat. Okay? That's where we need to be. So in thinking about the things that inhibit us from getting there, I want you to consider that. And this is actually lesson 5. Okay? This is well, that slide, just ignore that part. Sorry about that. But it's actually this right here. It's supporting a team. So let's get some support around each other, because building a team is what it's all about. Okay? Support your changes with check-ins. Invite others who are on a similar path. Okay? And they'll value the changes you make in your life too. Look, being isolated over time has adverse effects on the amount of vegetables you might take in. Specifically, it doesn't have an impact on how many, fast food triple cheeseburgers you take in. No, it's vegetables. There's a correlation according to one study. So it's better that we invite people along with us on our journey, especially if we're doing any type of exercise, not just cardio, but if we're shifting our eating. Okay? I think about it all the time where I'll try somebody else's pre-workout idea for cardio if I'm doing more stuff, or I'll try a new recovery meal, and then you can go back and review it with your friends, and they could say it was, or your colleagues or whoever you're working out with, and they could say, hey, yay or nay, I'll try it again or I won't, right? That's a great way to incorporate people around you to help yourself build a team. Your cooking habits. Maybe you have somebody nearby that you live with, a loved one or someone that you're married to or dating, and you cook for them. You cook in a certain way where your recovery meal is up with more complex carbohydrates and rice, and you feel great, and you want them to feel great. And so you think, hey, I'm going to try it with him or her. They come back to you and like, I can't believe you've stuck to this for so long. It's great. I'm going to continue. I'm going to go to the supermarket and buy the fish for the next week. Maybe they're in charge of the shopping and you're in charge of the cooking, right? Incorporating that, now you have this symbiotic bond, symbiotic relationship to your success. And that's a great thing. I'm here as part of the team. Once we establish each other as a basis to start the team, you're the captain. You can go out and recruit many, many others, right? Who are like-minded in the same capacity, and that's huge. Guys, thank you for taking Motivate Your Body. I hope this helps you get back into the cardio lifestyle that you love to do, whether it's road biking, whether it's dance or dance fit, right? Maybe it's bouldering, running, or whatever, swimming. Any of those things. I hope you found the ways to get over your hurdles and get back at it, because we need you back at it. We need to start 2021 in the right direction too, and I hope you're there for that. Go to the website, coachjohannscscs.com. I want you to sign up for a membership. That way you can get all of the great discounts and early access to part 3 of Motivate Your Body. Go to coachjohannscscs.com/event2 and you can download all the handouts. You made it to the end. Congratulations. And if you have a quick question, go ahead and write it. I'll respond to you. Guys, until next time, thank you so much. Go to Facebook. Join us there at coachjohannscscs.com. I gotta hear from you guys. So, do not be strangers. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.